So hello, welcome back. We're getting ready to start week 2 of my Weight Loss Your Way 365 Pay It Forward talks here at Life Coach University. And I wanted to kick off the week with a huge shout out to Life Coach University and all the amazing coaches here paying it forward every week with their time and their energy and their just pure love of coaching. So if you haven't already, go check out the Life Coach University website. Visit our coaches' bios and their upcoming Pay It Forward talks and conferences. There is truly something there for everyone. And the cost of admission is only your commitment to pay it forward with some act of kindness. So keep that in mind as we go through my talk today. And remember that the Q&A box is available to you. All you need to do is just click the bottom of your screen and you'll see the little box pop up and you can put your comments and questions in there. And then at the end of the talk, I'll be sure to answer all of the questions that come up. All right, so today's topic I think is pretty appropriate since it's Monday morning, at least for me. Some of you might be in the middle of your day now, but definitely not too late to talk about this. Today's topic is all about stopping what I call the Monday morning beatdown. And you probably know what this looks like, especially if you've been dieting for any length of time. I am personally all too familiar with it. It's when you start over on Monday with a solid beratement of how you ruined your diet over the weekend, and you vow that you're going to make up for it this week. And you plan to live on water and salad so you can get back on track or get back on that wagon. Well, this, my friends, has got to stop. There is no way, it's just no way to live, and the body just doesn't work that way. Punishing yourself and your body is not going to make the weight come off any faster, and it can't physically undo anything, and it certainly doesn't make you feel any better. So instead, try treating yourself and your body just exquisitely today. Show yourself some love and compassion by slowing down that racing mind, your AKA your diet brain, and decide that there'll be no more Monday morning beatdowns. And today, you're going to be curious and look for real solutions that don't include over restricting and over exercising to outrun any perceived damage you've done over the weekend. Today, you're going to give yourself permission to step back and slow down so you can get to work on figuring out why this pattern is repeating itself. So, the first place to start is just an honest evaluation of what went on the week before. Not as a judgment of how badly you messed things up, because as much as you want to believe the diet or meal plan you're currently following is the magic bullet, you may need to question whether or not it actually makes sense for you. Because if you're white knuckling your way through it and somehow make it to Friday and then crash and burn over the weekend, it's probably not the diet for you. And it's not a you problem, it's a process problem. There's something in there that simply doesn't work for your body and your life. So be honest with yourself so you can find the root cause of the problem. Is it too restrictive? Is it just too complicated to follow? Are you hungry all the time? Are you getting enough protein, fat, and carbohydrates? Eliminating or drastically reducing any of those 3 nutrients depletes your mind and your body of energy. So of course you eventually hit a wall. And that's your nervous system telling you that this particular process just isn't working for you. So really take an honest look at that and question those and anything else that may be coming up for you. The other place to look for the root cause is where you're overeating to try to escape feeling bad or just to create some joy and happiness or good times in your life. If you've spent every waking moment of the week thinking and experiencing how hard weight loss is, you're creating an environment primed to seek relief in food. And when the weekend rolls around, you just can't take it anymore and you go after that relief. This is where you get to change that hard story you're telling yourself. If you visit the land of regret, punishment, and failure every Monday, your brain is going to find all the past evidence to prove to you that your story is true. And when that happens, the process just repeats itself. And that's just how the brain works. It's doing exactly what it's used to doing. So your brain doesn't come up with new things unless you put some intention behind it. And if you're not doing that, it's just going to go back and repeat the same thing it's done over and over again. And that's why this happens so often. But here's where you have more control than you think. You can write a new story to tell your brain, one that's future focused. You can stop fixating on all the ways you think you've failed or blew it in the past, and instead start deciding that today I'm going to feel proud of myself because I'm making decisions to change what has not worked in my past. This process of rewriting your story could be as simple as changing out a few words. I call this the have tos versus the want to thinking. So if your Monday morning beatdown starts something like this, I have to get my act together because I just blew it again this weekend. Instead, maybe try, I want to take care of myself today. That's it. Do you see the little subtle difference? Have tos never feel good. It feels like you're dragging yourself into something miserable, right? Like, I have to get a root canal. If you're thinking about your diet as a root canal, of course you're going to feel miserable and it's going to make you want to escape by the time the weekend rolls around. Want tos, on the other hand, feel very different. They feel like you're being drawn to something new and exciting and maybe even inspiring. Something like, I want to experiment with my food choices this week. Feels so much more enticing to compared to I have to follow the meal plan this week, or I have to figure out how to be good over the weekend, versus a want to that says, I want to carry my healthy habits through the weekend. Do you kind of see how this works? Just changing the language you're using can completely change the direction of your thinking. And when the direction of your thinking changes, your actions will follow. And then weight loss becomes a byproduct of your new actions. Your thinking is your most important tool when it comes to weight loss. So, a good place to start to help you uncover all the have to thinking is to just pay attention to the have tos that do come up for you. Write them down somewhere, or just open a page in the Notes app on your phone, and whenever you hear them, drop them in there. Then go back and change each one of the have tos to a want to. Find all the reasons you want to do that particular thing, and then keep at it. Every time you hear a have to, immediately change it to a want to. And over time, you'll find your diet brain starts to let go of its grip, and it will become easier and easier to make choices you're proud of that actually you want to do. So, the other thing you might notice when you start doing or paying attention to the have tos and the want tos is that you'll find some things that even when you change it to a want to, you just really don't want to do that thing. That's just an amazing piece of information because you can take it off the list, just get it out of there. And it may be you'll find that you don't want to do the diet you've been trying to do. And that again is amazing news because now you're solving the real problem. You weren't the problem, and your ability to follow it wasn't the problem. The diet was the problem. So this, picking through your have tos and your want tos, the way I described, is really going to give you some clarity on what you really want to do and what you really want your weight loss process to be. Now, the beauty of this work is this. Doing this kind of deep thought work as part of your weight loss process prepares you for your future self, the person who's lost the weight for the last time. Weight loss your way is a long game because you're going to be learning how to think differently, feel differently, and act differently all the way down the scale, opposed to existing on willpower and hope that you'll someday get there. Your thinking around all the little things that you do every day can make the process of weight loss doable, exciting, and maybe even motivating, or it can make it a grind that's full of worry and overthinking and Monday morning beatdowns. The work you do on yourself and your thinking while you lose weight is preparing you to live the rest of your life without fear of ever gaining your weight back. You're learning how you're going to eat and live the rest of your life. So you never have to worry about falling off the diet, or you never have to worry about maintenance because you're learning how to do it as you go. It's an amazing thing. Weight loss your way is about learning how to lose your weight while you live your life. And I'm pretty certain you don't want a life full of Monday morning beatdowns and start overs. So treat yourself with love and compassion today and every day. Make yourself a healthy breakfast that nourishes you. Drink a glass of water, do a few stretches, or maybe write in your journal if you're a journaler, and plan your day with purpose and gratitude because today matters. Monday isn't your start over day anymore. I'd love for you to think of it as your keep going day, regardless of what happened over the weekend. And that's again the beauty of doing this thought work, because you get to go to look back and find the places where you had missteps, because they're going to happen. They're going to happen all the time. You never can be perfect at this process, but you can get really good at evaluating what happened and making adjustments in the forms of I want tos. Keeping going with the good habits you're putting in place, and then keep experimenting with the food and enjoying the things you eat. And this is how you break the cycle of punishing yourself Monday through Friday, only to repeat the weekend behavior all over again. I mean, think about it. If you're not restricting yourself all week and forcing yourself to be good, you'll be less likely to feel the need to let loose on the weekend. So it's a really amazing thing when you can take away that self beratement and focus on what can you do today that you want to do that makes sense for you. All right, let's do a little bit of a recap and then we'll go over to some Q&A. So if you're a regular participant in the Monday morning beatdown like I used to be, stop yourself and evaluate your previous week objectively and with compassion. Give yourself credit for the good that happened and look for things that just are not working for you. And remember, it's a process problem. It's not a you problem. And you have the power to rewrite the gloom and doom, this always happens to me story. That was a big one for me. It's really just your diet brain on repeat telling you all the things it's just used to telling you. But you have control to rewrite that story of your future by changing all of those have tos to want to thoughts. And remember, this work is setting you up to live your life the way you want to live your life and lose your weight. It's a long game. So it's patience, practice, and permission. 3 P's. So give yourself that permission to be curious and be patient with yourself and the process and keep practicing. Like I said, there's no perfection in this. It literally is a practice every single day. So be kind to yourself this morning and every morning because you matter. All right, let's see what we have for Q&A. Let me move my screen over. All right. All right, so first question. Monday has always been the day I start the new diet. It used to be exciting, now it just feels like here I go again. How do I believe I can actually do it? Yeah, I can relate to this one. Monday was always, it actually kind of became a joke in my house. Oh, what's the diet this week, Mom? It's Monday. They just knew that's what I did. But here's what I'd say. If it feels hard, it's time to take a look at the process or the diet you're trying to follow. Where is it not working for you? Is it too much too soon? Meaning, does it require you to make a big life overhaul? We're going to talk about this one in tomorrow's session. What about your expectations? Are they realistic and are they doable? Are the things that you are expecting of yourself doable? I would dig into those things a little bit. And I'd also dig into just thinking about today, because that's how we also make this process really hard and beat ourselves up for it. That we feel like we've got so far to go that we have to do these really drastic and hard things. But what if we dialed that back and just worried about today? What could you do today that would get you closer? That sometimes takes some of the pressure off and it allows you just to kind of settle into today and thinking about just that next decision that's going to be coming up for you and how are you going to handle it. So that's what I'd have to say about that. Let's see. The next one. Aren't you supposed to be hungry on a diet? I love this question. My short answer is absolutely not. But I think most of us believe that we must be hungry because that's the experience we've had on all of these restrictive diets. Again, we've kind of trained our brains to think that unless the diet is hard and we're hungry all the time and we're miserable all the time, it's not going to work. But that is such a lie, and it is just not true. You want to be able to experience eating to satisfy hunger, and you shouldn't be hungry all the time. I think I mentioned this in the normalizing food talk, but a good rule of thumb to follow is that typically if you've truly kind of satisfied your hunger, you should be able to go roughly 3 to 4 hours before you start feeling hungry again. But if you're walking around all day long just in a constant state of hunger, you're putting stress on your body and your mind, frankly. And it's just a signal that the process you're following is probably not the best process for you. So there's going to be a discussion, I think it's next week, on really getting in touch with your hunger. But for now, I would just say, no, absolutely not. You should not be hungry all the time. That's an extreme restrictive diet. So really kind of assess what you're doing. And like I said earlier, you can focus on those three things: protein, carbohydrates, and healthy fats. You can still eat very healthy. You can lose weight and not be hungry all the time. Let's see. All right, here's a good one. My life consists of my job and taking care of the family. There's nothing else. So on the weekend, I tend to just let go, and food seems to be the only thing that gives me joy. Well, I can certainly hear that. I experienced it for a lot of years, or at least that's what I told myself. It's super easy to convince yourself that you don't have any time in your day to do something that brings you joy. But I promise you it's there. And you may not believe me as I'm saying those words, but even if it's just 5-minute increments throughout your day, that would be a great place to start to just get back in touch with yourself. Even if it's something is just sit quietly and breathe for 5 minutes. I think we can, if we're honest with ourselves, we can find just a 5-minute increment somewhere in our day. Or maybe just sit down and read something you enjoy just for 5 minutes. You don't need to be able to plan out an hour to be able to just kind of shut off everything that's going on in your life and just read something for 5 minutes. I know one thing that I did a lot, and I didn't realize how much it was impacting my stress level, was that when I was at work, I would eat my lunch at the desk and continue with emails or do whatever it was that I was working on. So a couple of things were happening there. I was not getting a break. I was not focusing on what I was eating. In fact, half the time I didn't even know what I ate. And I was eating so fast, I had no way to know that I was, if I was still hungry or not, because I was going so fast, I didn't give my body time to catch up. And like I said, there was no break there. So I started to step away from my desk, even if it was just to go outside for a few minutes. Or, and I'm embarrassed to admit this, but I used to take my lunch and go sit in my car just so I could get away from the people and the stress and the job and the whole thing. So you've got to really be creative and find some places where you can just steal those 5 minutes for yourself. Even if it's just to stand up and stretch and bend and do whatever you need to do just to get the blood flowing again. It really makes a difference. And when you make a habit of that, you start to find more time. Believe me, it's there. All right. And let's see. Next question is I know I talk pretty badly to myself and I don't like it, but how do I stop it? Well, I think I can kind of sum it up in 2 words: deliberately and consistently. You really, first of all, have to pay attention to how you're talking to yourself. You have to listen for it. And most people, most of my clients that have the same issue, and we spend a lot of time here because often they don't even know they're doing it. It's become so automatic. I mean, I'll share mine. I used to get dressed for work in the morning. Every single day, I'd stand in front of the mirror and say, "Oh my God, look how fat you are." Every day, I was telling myself that. And half the time, I didn't even realize I was doing it. It was kind of as routine as brushing my teeth. Well, that's terrible to talk to yourself that way. You wouldn't say that to another person. But when I got really deliberate about listening for it and then being very consistent about listening for it, every single time I caught it, I'd have to correct my brain. And it sounds really silly, but you almost have to talk to it like a toddler. Like, no, that is not nice. And I won't talk to myself that way. It's going to feel super strange and you may not even believe it. But if you do it and do it over and over and over every single time, you will start to retrain your brain and it'll start to happen less and less often. It'll still come up occasionally. Mine still does, but I've just gotten very good at deliberately listening and correcting it. And that's a great place to start. Now, another thing that you might be able to do that's helpful, very similar to what I described as finding all your have tos and want tos, jot down those that negative, nasty self-talk that you do with yourself. Just make a list. And then when you have a few minutes to sit down and look at your list, ask yourself those three questions from last week, one of the videos from last week in negative self-talk. Is what you're saying to yourself, is it true? Is it kind? And is it helpful? And none of it is, it probably, none of that's true. And then just, that's part of the deep thought work, kind of working through and understanding what's going on, what you're saying to yourself, and then being very intentional and consistent about neutralizing it. Like I said, no, that is not the way we talk to myself anymore. Whatever that phrase is that makes sense for you, do that. Because this is truly the one thing that if you can conquer this negative self-talk, is going to move you so much faster, so much and so much further, so much faster. All right. I think we have got through all of the questions. I would invite you, if this episode or this talk really resonated with you and you want to dig deeper into the Monday morning beatdowns and how you talk to yourself, I would be happy to chat with you live on the phone or on a Zoom call and really help you tease through this. This is important work, and it's really important to me that you get what you need from these talks this month. So I would invite you to go to my website, normafrahncoaching.com, and I believe it's on the Life Coach University website in my bio. And then just click that big orange button that says Done with Diets. And we can book an hour to just talk through this. I promise you it's not a sales call. I truly want to help you sort through this. And we'll figure out a process that works for you to stop this negative self-talk on these Monday morning beatdowns. All right, my friends, that is all I have for you today. And I will be back tomorrow. And we're going to dig in a little bit deeper tomorrow with some more work here. I'm going to see if I can find my, oh, tomorrow will be a good one. We're going to talk about tiny actions that equal big results. So this will be good. All right, please remember, pay it forward today. Some act of kindness, anything at all that lifts you up and lifts someone else up would be so appreciated by all of us here at the Life Coach University. Have a beautiful day, everyone.